I could not believe the events of that day. After hearing those words from God, I felt an isolation I have never felt before. The air was filled with people mourning and crying aloud. I saw old people, young people, black people, white people, Asian, you name it. I kept praying inside that this was all just a bad dream. I began to look around, and for the first time, I saw people that looked familiar to me. Lori was on the ground, balled up and screaming to the top of her lungs. I saw some of the guys I went to school with, and I immediately thought, I wonder if they are here because of me. One of the guys spotted me and started to yell how much he hated me for what I had done to him. After God said be still, it was as if heavy chains weighed you down. I knew that was the only reason he did not try to run and hurt me. He had such anger in his eyes. As I said, the air was filled with the hopelessness that could be felt. I too was crying and begging God to please change his mind. I had no idea what was coming next, but I was sure of one thing. This judgment was final.
All judgments have been rendered. Before the pronouncement of your sentence, you will acknowledge the king.
The sky was filled with angels. They were stacked in the sky, shoulder to shoulder, thousands of rows deep. All around is the shape of a stadium. I had such mixed emotions. I was looking at the most amazing thing I had ever seen, but in my head, the words of God reverberated. You are guilty. I didn't know which one I wanted to focus on. The angels just kept coming.
All hail King Jesus. All hail Emmanuel.
After he said that, a small light appeared about the size of a pinhead. The light began to grow. The more it grew, the brighter it became, until finally, bursting through the light, standing for all to see, was Jesus. I was in total amazement, so angry at myself for rejecting him during my life on earth. How could I have been so blind? I couldn't blame it on my youth. I had caused so much trouble in the lives of others. I reflected on my private court with God, and I knew he was right. I only thought about myself. Now I am standing before the very one that had died for me, but I rejected. I noticed some angelic activity behind Jesus. I'm telling you that all eyes were fixed on this area. The angels were changing their formation as if they were making a path for something to come through. Oh my God, what a sight I saw. There were people coming into the picture. They were walking in midair, taking positions around Jesus. They never got in front of him, only standing behind him in some type of choir formation. They were standing on nothing, but it looked like people on risers. I could see everyone so clear, even though they were so far away. They all had on the whitest white robes I had ever seen. Most of them wore crowns, and many of them had on multiple crowns. Even the angels responded to them as if they were kings and queens. I looked through the crowd of people that surrounded Jesus and saw many people that I knew while on earth. I saw Rich and Max, Pastor Paul, Miss Hope, and then I looked directly into the face of my parents. I was filled with so much regret. I wanted to tell them they were not the reason I didn't make it, but I knew they didn't see me although I could see them. I can remember hearing the angel speak so clearly.
He is the stone that the builders rejected. He is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He is the Prince of Peace. He is the everlasting Father. He is the preferred one spoken of by John the Baptizer. He is the one who did walk among the candlesticks during the age of the church. He is the first and the last. You thought him dead. You thought him a prophet. You even thought to just deny his existence. He has triumphed over death, hell, and the grave. You rejected him. You delivered him up to your corrupted courts. You beat him and spat on him. You killed him on Mount Calvary and buried him. But he was raised on the third day and invited to sit at the right hand of his Father. You persecuted his church, but he has triumphed gloriously over you to glorify his Father. Now let all inhabitants of heaven bow and declare his kingship now.
It was amazing. It was as if they had all practiced. Not one person missed it. They all bowed at the same time, and they all spoke at the exact same time. After they all said it, they all broke out into a cheer in celebration. Those that had crowns started throwing their crowns toward him. Not one crown came down to where we were. All we could do was stand there and wait until we had been spoken to. At the end of the celebration, I heard the angel say,
"Let all the inhabitants of hell declare his lordship."
It was as if several elephants were now resting on me. I was being forced down by some unseen strength. I didn't know what was going on, but something in me was trying to resist that strength. I was completely overwhelmed by that power, and before I knew it, I was resting on my knees. There were people all around me trying to resist too. They wanted to voice their opposition to this moment, but just like me, they could not. The weight was too heavy. All we could do was mumble because of that invisible muzzle that had been placed on the mouth of the angry ones. That sin and rebellion was still in us even after everything we had just seen. After every one of us had been forced to bow, we too, just as the saints and angels, without practice or prompting, were released to speak, and we all said,